Joining me now to break down the Biden crime family's connection to the CCP, also these new horrible job approval numbers from Biden and Harris, like 32, 33, 29%. It's horrible. And the current situation with Russia, Ukraine, and how Biden is dealing with that situation, and just the whole Biden regime in general. A friend of ours, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. Matt, welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming on. Where do I begin? I guess the latest news would be, and we just wrapped up with a retired general. Let's just hit and get your take on the Ukraine situation and Biden's mishandling, not only in the press conference last week, saying, oh, a minor incursion, no big deal, pretty much giving Putin the green light, to now them walking it back, scrambling, trying to figure out what in the hell to do while telling anybody in that country, if you're an American, get out because war could start any time. What do you make of all this, Matt?
Well, remember, they impeached Donald Trump for trying to get to the bottom of these connected issues of corruption in Ukraine and U.S. foreign policy. And now you have, Joe Biden in the presidency, and Ukraine is at greater risk than they've ever been before. I do wish American politicians cared as much about what was going on the U.S.-Mexico border as we seem to care about what's going on with Russia's border with Ukraine. I also don't understand why this isn't like a bigger problem for Europe than the United States. I don't think the United States should have to shoulder all of Europe's security concerns, especially when you see Germany not exactly playing ball with the rest of the alliance. And, Germany not providing flyover permissions that we need in order to ensure that there's sufficient deterrence against Russia. So I don't think Vladimir Putin's any friend of ours, but I also think that these issues that you just described are very connected, Dan. When you see the investment that China has made in the Biden crime family, you see that they're kind of getting their money's worth, right? Because he's taking the eye off the ball with China to distract with Europe and the threat construct around Russia. With China, you saw a lot of money go not only to these entities with business links to Joe Biden, but look at all the money that went to members of his administration. The Biden Center at the University of Pennsylvania saw anonymous donations from the Chinese go up by many, many multiples. Tens of millions of dollars started pouring in to the Biden Center at UPenn from China. They even broke the law by not disclosing those individuals at the time. It's one of the reasons, Dan, why if Republicans take control, it's not going to be enough just to legislate with these people and to try to find bipartisan compromises to advance the Biden agenda.
We don't want it.
We have to investigate.
Yes.
We have to do oversight. And a great example would be the Education and Labor Committee connecting the dots between the Biden Center and the corrupt CCP.
Yeah, let's move from China and Ukraine, because I love what you said. He's actually, this is a classic DC wag the dog. Get us looking over here at Ukraine and Russia, so you're letting China off the hook because we know you've made millions. We know that for a fact, Mr. Biden. Let's move on to these latest polls that just came out and the midterms, because, wow, over the weekend, Matt, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but you had CBS Network, you had MSNBC and Chuck Todd, you had CNN, you had all these big names throwing Biden-Harris finally under the bus, calling them, not competent anymore, showing polls that show they're in the 33 to 29 percentile, and that Americans are fed up. These sound bites with Democrat voters who are going, I regret my vote, I wish I could change it now. Holy cow, it took them a year.
Joe Biden's poll numbers are only barely above freezing. They're only barely above 32, and that is not a good place to be for a politician. You typically don't see rats swimming toward a sinking ship, and that's what we see in the Biden-Harris regime right now. Where's Joe Biden going to go to campaign? He is a drag on Democrats in Congress, Democrats running for the Senate, and the reason is the American people believe that Joe Biden has violated their trust because he hasn't governed like he campaigned. He said, oh, we were all just going to go back to normal. This was all going to be regular life. Look at what the Biden agenda has been so far. Advancing our country to socialism, driving inflation through the roof by printing money, crushing domestic production of oil and gas so you're paying more at the pump than you've ever paid in recent memory. And that's just not what people had hoped for. And I think that there's a real lane for energy behind the Republican Party and a Republican populism. But as you and I talk about all the time, Dan, it's not enough just to elect Republicans. We have to elect people who will fight. And I think there's going to be some very important primaries that define the type of party we're going to be to take on this corrupt, incompetent regime.
That is key, and we'll end it right there, Matt, because I think that's what so many people want to see, and they're a little apprehensive. They're like, if we're going to put Republicans back in charge, I'm not talking about Republican voters, I'm talking about the independents, who that's what wins elections. These independents, and even some Democrats now that are fed up with Biden, are going to come back to our side, I believe, but they want to know that whoever we're putting in there, whichever Republicans we decide to vote in, they better be the ones that are going to not only, like you said, investigate, but put forth policy that's going to get us back on track, get this economy going, get people back to work, secure our military, secure the border, secure our elections. And if you're not for that, then by golly, we need to primary the hell out of them. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, as always, thank you for coming on, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Dan. Totally agree.